God says someone you trust wants to keep your biggest blessing hidden. But don't skip this message because something important is about to be revealed that you need to hear before anything else. Chosen one, I want you to really understand that these words didn't just happen to find you. It wasn't just luck or a quick scroll of a tired finger. There were a lot of other things that could have caught your eye right now, but none did. No matter what brought you here, please stay a moment longer. What I'm about to say wasn't made for everyone. It was meant to reach one person this week, right where they are. I really think that person is you. First, get this. I want it to be clear before we go on. This is true whether you hear it 3 days before today, in the morning of today, or hours after today has already passed. There is no set date for the message I'm about to send you. You have it inside you. Today is just a beginning. For years, the real story has been playing out in your head. A quiet worry is something that a lot of people feel as the week ends but can't quite put into words. There is only a low hum that says, "Here we are again." It's not loud or dramatic. It's been a week and I'm still pretty much where I was 7 days ago. People call this stress, burnout, or a tough spell. I'm going to call it what it is. Though the feeling that your life is going on without you, your days are going by quickly and you feel like you're just a passenger taking in the view while you wonder when you gave up control and to whom. No one tells you this about that feeling. It's not a judgment. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's a sign. It was a sign that something real had been done to you slowly over a long time, and you can understand signals. We're going to do that now. The signal will be red. You are at a crossroads where two very different lives are possible. On the one hand, there's a part of you that waits week after week for disappointment and knows your schedule better than you do. This version is so used to being pushed that it now feels like being smart, grown up, or just practical. When you get to the other side, you'll finally see what was taken, know what it's called, and know how to start getting it back. The most important thing is that the life you choose doesn't depend on today at all. This message could hurt you if you let it in the next few minutes. When you're not alert. This is what I think the Spirit wants me to say. It's neither a suggestion nor a criticism. Do not brace. Only 2 words. Not stop trying, stop praying, or stop hoping for more. Just stop bracing for the blow you were taught to expect. Because the bracing turned into your cage someplace along the way. Also, I need you to hear how these 2 words make you feel, because that's more important than the words themselves. You are not being warned against you. It's you being warned. There is a big difference between them. I'm not here to tell you that you're behind schedule, that time is running out, or that you should feel bad about where you are. I'm going to tell you that something has been wrong with your mind for a long time now, and no one has ever told you what it is. This message's sadness isn't about you. It's about what someone stole from you while you were busy blaming yourself. These are 2 different things. It could be the most freeing thing you do this year to learn how to tell them apart. Now, let me tell you what today really means for you. The end of the week is just that, the end for most people. There are bills to pay and chores to do before 2 days off. But you're not like most people. You've known that since you were a child, even though you couldn't explain it. If you have a special purpose that you can't quite see yet, every ending is a doorway. Every day is a small chance to get ready for a big change that's coming. The thing that has been stopping you knows this rhythm much better than you do. It knows that endings leave you open to harm. It knows that when the week ends, you let down your guard and let old judgments come through loudest. This time I'm going to be very careful. I won't give you fear that looks like wisdom. So, let me make it as easy as I can. There isn't a bad person writing your death on a calendar in red ink. That's not what this is. This is a pattern. It's been going this way for so long and so smoothly that it seems like fate. And when things keep going the way they are, it's much more dangerous than just one bad day because you stop fighting what you think is meant to be. No longer do you question what you believe to be true about you. You give up on a limit that was never yours. You call that being mature to accept things as they are. That's what's so strange about it. It wasn't a monster under the bed. It was a ceiling you gave up on. Now, let me break down this pattern into pieces. Read them out loud and tell me if they sound like you. Sometimes it seems like your mind is moving more slowly than usual. It's hard to find a word. After an hour, it comes back to you, but it doesn't help you anymore since the conversation is over. When you walk into a room, you forget why you came. Even after reading it 3 times, it doesn't stick. And forgetting isn't even the worst part. Pay attention to this. You tell yourself that you forget things because you're getting older, which is the worst part. That you're not as sharp as you used to be. That maybe you were not as smart, talented, or unique as you thought you were when you were young and the world seemed endless. That story is not true. So, I want to stop you right there. It's also a lie with a very clear goal. You'll never look for what's really making you foggy as long as you think it's just part of who you are now. You will spend a lot of time and effort on the symptoms and never get to the root of the problem. For years, you'll treat the smoke, but never go near the fire. There's also a heavier layer below the first one. It's not just your mind that seems dull. You feel like life is happening, too. You instead of through you that you're always responding and never really taking the lead. One woman said it was like being at the window of her own life and watching the street below go by while she couldn't find the door to go back inside. In that case, you already know that this message didn't just happen to reach you. There is a third layer that is even less loud. It shows up in the most important parts of your life. The talks with your closest friend or family member that are now mostly about plans. You used to love your job, but now it just feels like a hallway that you walk through without stopping. You used to tell everyone about your dreams, but now you keep them to yourself because calling them out felt like setting yourself up for another letdown. There's one more layer which might be the most lonely of all. When you feel like everyone else is moving forward, but you're stuck. That someone else got instructions along the way while you missed them. You see them make quick choices, speak up without being asked, and stick to the plans you keep letting go of in silence. You think, what's wrong with the way I was made? We've now named the signal, including the fog, the slowness, the feeling of being a passenger, the way things lose their shine, and the feeling of being alone while you wait for other people to move. At this point, most messages would end happily, telling you to think more good thoughts. I'm not going to call you names like that because good thoughts can't fix something they can't see. You're not having a thinking problem at all with what's going on. It goes far below your thoughts where self-control and willpower live but often fail. You've tried for years to outthink it and shame yourself out of it. But you can't do either. Before this message ends, I want to say something over your life that I think will last longer than today and every day after that. But first, you need to know what was taken from you, how it happened, and when it began. I'll take you to a place you haven't been in a long time. Take a trip back to when you were young. Not the parts that hurt, but the other part, the part that most people hide, because it hurts to think about how bright it was. That time when you were younger, your mind was like a field with no edges. You could spend 4 hours making something out of nothing and think it was the best afternoon of your life. You asked more questions than any grown-up could answer. You did not learn new things because someone forced you to. You just couldn't help it. It was fun to learn, not a chore. I want you to know that this child wasn't a different person. You were this child who ran fast. Before anyone taught you to run slowly, there were lights on everywhere. You thought it would always be bright in every room of the house. Like a child thinks the sun will always rise because it always has. Researchers who study kids love to talk about a certain type of research. I'll tell you about it the way the researchers do, not the way I think about it. Kids as young as a few years old did very well on tests that measure the kind of open, original and limitless thinking that we call creative genius. Then after years they tested those kids again and the number had dropped very quickly. When those kids were grown up, only a very small number of them still tested anywhere close to where they started. That's very important. So please give it some thought. There was still the ability in the world. It was taken away from the person. That mind shrunk. It wasn't broken or gone, but it shrunk. Why am I not as sharp as I used to be? Is no longer the real question. What happens to a person on the long journey between the wide-open field of childhood and the narrow hallway of adulthood that turns off the lights one room at a time until the house you live in is mostly dark and you've forgotten it was ever any other way is the real question. And the real answer isn't age. This doesn't go away when kids get taller or their hair turns gray. What they went through as kids makes them lose it. You can't forget what it was made of once you see it. There were times when you were told to be quiet. When your mind was full of questions, to color inside the lines that someone else drew, to pick the one right answer and stop giving 3 interesting ones, to stop daydreaming to be practical, and to grow up already. It wasn't all bad. I want to be fair about that. A lot of it came from people who really cared about you, but were just repeating without thinking what other people had done to them when they were young, smart, and unpleasant. It wasn't done on purpose. It was just passed on. But the outcome was the same, no matter how good the intentions were. A mind that was made to explore was taught to stay in its lane slowly and carefully until it felt like it couldn't go any further. Until the big field felt like a dream you were too old to live out until you forgot you had it at all. And someone who loses something will never think to question who took it. Some people have called this the biggest, quietest theft ever. I agree with that. It wasn't a break-in with alarms going off and broken glass. It moved slowly. In fact, it was so slow and normal for everyone that you thought the theft was just part of everyday life. Now comes the part that should make you feel something. The way that honest anger can wake someone up. There are parts of the world that don't really want to help you find this power again. When your mind is fuzzy, a little worried, and quietly sure that it's just getting older, you buy things, follow the rules, and don't ask big tough questions. I'm not going to make this sound like large-scale plot with bad guys locked up. That wouldn't be honest. And lying is what put you to sleep in the first place. I'm just going to say something truer and quieter. They don't need to give you back the part of you that doesn't need them right away. You'll have to go get that part yourself. Nobody gives you the key to a door they'd rather you forget about. I need to take a break because we've been talking about a lot of important things for a while now. Your mind needs a moment to just breathe. Take a moment to notice that you've been listening for a while. As you do, your body is in a certain place. You may or may not be aware of it, but your breathing has a rhythm right now. That's not something you need to do. You don't need to get or give up anything. Just drop your shoulders by 1 inch. That's all. Just 1 inch. That's it. That little drop could be the most honest thing your body has done all day. Take one more deep breath into that feeling and then we'll move on. What comes next will change everything. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel, your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. This is what most people don't know. And it's why I asked you to stay. You never lost the power you had as a child. It was never taken away. It was put to sleep. And there's a big difference between something being gone and something just resting. And that difference makes your whole future. There is no longer a field that has been paved over with concrete. You can be sad about it, but it won't help you grow anything. But a field that was only covered in snow over the winter is still there. It's sound asleep. It is ready. The soil is still there. Patient and whole, holding its breath under the white. It is still everything it was. It doesn't want to be rebuilt. It only needs warm weather to melt the snow. And there are a few people who have spent their whole lives learning how to bring that warmth. Someone found something. They were led by a doctor in New York who has spent more than 20 years of his life studying this question. At first, it sounds so easy that it almost seems too good to be true. Stay with me because I'm going to show you what they found later in this message. For now, though, I want you to think about just one question. Let it sink in like a stone dropped into still water. What if the reason your mind is fuzzy isn't your age, your weakness, or a secret flaw in your character that you felt bad about for years? What if it's just sleeping? What if it's been waiting all this time for the day you're ready to wake it up? That part of you that has tried things before and been let down needs some soft words right now. I don't want you to think that I don't understand how painful that is. You've done things. I know you have. You chose the apps with the soft voices. While you slept, you listened to music that said it would help your brain. You crossed your legs on the floor and tried to clear your mind, but it wouldn't go away. You felt like you couldn't even rest. Not one of the things promised worked the way they were supposed to. So, you made a secret choice in the dark. You thought the problem was with you and that these things just don't work for you. You thought that everyone else got the instructions, but you got a broken copy. Today, I don't want you to make that choice because it was never true. What if the methods didn't fail because you were bad? Could it be that they failed because they had the wrong goal the whole time? A lot of the well-known tools try to change a small part of how your brain works and call it a big change. My subject, the man whose work I'm about to describe, would tell you in a kind way that this was never the right target in the first place. As a child, what made you smart was never just one small part of something. It was like your whole mind was playing one smooth tune. When both halves talk, they are in tune and fully alive. Almost nothing that is being sold to you was ever made to make you whole again. You could only buy tunes for one string. The rest of the instrument was silent. So, if you felt like the broken one in a room full of people who said these things worked for them for years, I want to free you today. You weren't the one who was broken. You were given tools that weren't complete and then quietly blamed for the result that wasn't complete. There is a big difference between someone who really can't do something and someone who never had the right key to their own door. Here's the most important part. I want you to think of this next part as part of who you are, not just information. You're not the kind of person who has to build genius from scratch, one brick at a time. You have to go home to the genius you were before. Those are two very different journeys that don't feel at all like each other. One is going uphill, not sure what to do, and by themselves. The long way up to becoming someone you've never been before. The other is a homecoming. And all it asks of you is that you stop thinking the door is locked. You don't have to work hard to get back into a house where your name is already carved into the fireplace. You just need to walk the path you remember. There's a woman in Manhattan whose privacy is more important to me than any point I want to make. I won't go into too much detail because of that. The story in her family was passed down from generation to generation like a valuable heirloom. They were born under a bad sign. So the story went that at the end it didn't matter how hard they worked. Something would always take it all away. While he should have been getting a raise, her dad lost almost everything at the company he had worked for over 20 years. So she grew up sure that the limit over her family was real, set in stone, and would never change. She wasn't even mad about it anymore. She had just learned to live under it, like how you learn to duck through a low doorway in your own home. It wasn't a sudden turn of events that made things better for her. It was much stranger and quieter. She talked about feeling a sense of clarity slowly coming back to her. She was getting ideas at times when there had only been confusion and struggle before. She had been carrying a heavy load for so long that she had forgotten about it. It was slowly lifting off her shoulders. At some point, she realized that she had stopped saying the family curse to herself one day. The curse, which is what she had always called it, was never a spiritual woe from God. It was a mind that wasn't using even a small part of its full potential because it thought its own weakness was destiny. As soon as the darkness went away, the curse had nowhere to stand anymore. Then what did change for her? That's not magic or finally getting lucky. It's something with a real name and a real scientific history. Here I need to talk about a scientific find that won the most prestigious award in the field. Nobel Prize winner Dr. Roger Sperry showed that the two halves of your brain are connected in a very interesting way. That they really are two different minds living in one skull. And that when they are fully linked and working together, the mind as a whole comes to life in a way that neither half can when they are working alone. Let me tell you how strong that is. This isn't some crazy idea that was talked about in the back of the room. This is the Nobel Prize. Two parts of the brain that are designed to work together. When they are in sync, the lights from your childhood that you thought were out for good come back on one room at a time. The people who study this point to times when we all secretly want certain things to happen. The person who comes up with ideas and can picture the whole finished product in their mind before they even start building the parts. The performer who gets up in front of 80 zoo and people and talks about how time seems to be slowing down around her. Sometimes the mind solves an impossible problem in a flash. It feels like a gift rather than something earned, like it came from somewhere outside of the person. They know what that state is called and have studied it well. The thing they found should change how you see yourself. That state isn't a gift that only a few lucky people get. It's how brains naturally work when they work together. The skill itself was never what made it rare. The rare part is getting to it. Most people just got lost and couldn't find their way back to the room they were born in. Think about the smart people we call geniuses. Someone like Nikola Tesla, who said he could see his inventions working perfectly in his mind before he used any tools. Some people like Steve Jobs could hold on to the idea of something for a long time, making it look, feel, and work in ways that no one had seen before. A performer who can handle being in front of a big crowd and still feel calm, present, and like herself. We think they were born with something that the rest of us didn't have. But here's what makes that assumption wrong. It stuck with me for a long time after I heard it. If you are honest with yourself, your real potential is probably higher than that of people who everyone calls brilliant, even higher than some well-known names you would never think to compare yourself to. The difference between you and them has never been in terms of talent. There was a hole in the talent pool. They left a door open and the rest of us were taught to shut it quietly. A door that is closed is not the same as having no door at all. When I first heard any of this, I had the same doubts you may be having now. It sounded too cool, too easy, and too good to be true. So I did what any sane, if a little skeptical person would do. I was ready to find nothing but empty claims when I went looking for the science behind it. I instead found a Nobel Prize at the heart of it. But that one fact changed the whole question for me. Is this real? Was no longer the question. It was something much more important. If the way this works is so well established, so proven, so highly honored, then why on earth has almost no one built a simple way for an ordinary, busy, tired person to actually use it at home? A small group of neuroscientists set out to answer that very question. With the help of Dr. Daniel Barron, a neurosurgeon in New York. They worked late into the night in the lab to make something that used to need a full hour of specialized brain synchronization, something that anyone could use in just 8 minutes a day. They call it the genius switch. And I want to be very clear about what it is and what it isn't. Being clear shows that you're being honest and you've already been lied to enough. Not one of those tracks that changes the way a small part of your brain works. The app doesn't ask you to empty your mind, which is impossible. The machine is not a 7000001 that's running in a clinic across the country that you can't get to. It is something quieter and more interesting than all of those in its own way. It is a carefully planned series of sounds that are meant to help your brain's two halves connect again, just like they did when you were a child. This is the same kind of activation of the whole brain that Dr. Sperry described and won the Nobel Prize for. That's what you do. You shut your eyes. After 8 minutes, you do nothing else. You don't need to remember any words. Do not try to force. You don't have to make up self-control when you can barely get out of bed in the morning. In the end, the fact that it works without your effort is the whole point. Since effort was never what you were missing, your brain was just waiting to be shown how it used to work. Now I'll talk about the part that everyone wants to skip over but is afraid to ask about the price. The people that Dr. Barron works with told him that this kind of tool might be worth $500. 1 hour with a neurofeedback specialist can cost $300. And a machine that you can use at home can cost up to $7 million. So that price wasn't too high. He didn't set the price at $500, though. He didn't set the price at $200 or even $100. It was priced at a $49 by his team. That's more than a third less than the original estimate. And it's a small part of how much the other options would have cost. Just that would have been kind. You can get an even bigger discount through the page his team set up because you've come this far, showing that you're not just a casual visitor who will leave quickly. It drops the price to $39. That much is less than what many people spend on one dinner that they'll forget by the weekend. It's for a tool that works on your mind which affects every other part of your life in a subtle way. It doesn't come by itself either. It comes with 4 other things that don't cost anything extra. The first is a guided visualization from the author that will help you picture your life going well in the areas that are most important to you. Love, money, health, and a kind of peace that has been hard to find. The second is a simple grocery guide that tells you how to save over $100 a month on groceries you already buy without even realizing it. It lists common everyday foods that make you feel worse and more foggy. The third is a book that is more than 100 years old and many people think it is where most modern teachings on attracting abundance got their start. The fourth is a single page that can be printed out that lists the few daily habits that more than almost anything else quietly shape the life that person will live. A fool. No questions asked money-back guarantee is at the bottom of it all. This is what should finally ease the tension in your stomach. Put it on for 8 minutes. Listen for 8 hours over the next few weeks. And if you don't change or awaken, all you have to do is ask for your money back and you'll get it all back. Which means if you really look at it honestly, this was never truly a purchase at all. It was a down payment. This is a deposit that you can get back at any time. The only thing you are truly risking here is the small, terrifying chance that it actually works and that you finally have to meet the version of yourself you have been avoiding for years. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. One more thing, and I'm only telling you this because I'm being honest. You can find tracks with this name if you look for them in the usual places online, like search bars and streaming apps. In fact, a lot of them. Duck. Barron's team took a close look at a lot of these and found some shocking things. There was almost no sequence in most of them at all. Labels were put on them just to get clicks and advertising money, nothing else. The team worked hard for years to make the real sequence, which can only be seen on their own page. There is a reason why it has stayed where it is and not spread out into the noise. And he says that reason much better than I could. Some part of you might want to know what 8 minutes a day for 2 normal weeks could really do for you. The link in this message takes you to where his team made it available. You don't need any special tools, pills, or discipline that you have to make up on the spot. 8 minutes with headphones on and eyes closed. That is the whole promise. And finally, before this message ends, I want to say something over your life that I think will stick with you long after today is over and another date in the past. Stay with me until the end, because the last few words I'm going to say to you are the real reason this message was sent to you in the first place. I know that you are still having some honest doubts, and I would much rather talk about them openly than act like they aren't here with us. I like that the first one is simple for some of you listening. For 39 is real money. You might have to change some things around to be able to pay that amount. Don't think it's rude of me to act like it's not true. Hold this comparison in your hand for a second. Or 300 for an hour with a professional and 7 Zalo for the machine by cutting out the middleman doctor. Barron made it possible for someone who could never fly to a New York office to still get there in some other way. The guarantee also says that you can get your money back if the genius switch doesn't change anything about you. That's about the safest thing that can happen in the real world. The second argument is the one I agree with the most. That voice inside you that says, "This sounds too good to be true, and I've been hurt before." Good. Don't change your voice. Don't turn it off. You should never feel bad about having a healthy suspicion. It has kept you safe in the past and will keep doing so in the future. But make sure you point it in the right direction. Directly look at how it works. In the end, understanding how it works is a Nobel Prize. You're entitled to doubt. Can something this simple really matter this much? The guarantee is there to protect you from that doubt. So you never have to spend your money to settle it. You can settle it on your own time and based on your own direct experience. Your money will be kept safe until you make your choice. Last but not least is the quiet objection which says, "I just don't have the time." I want to be kind and honest with you right now. The whole thing takes 8 minutes. While the coffee is brewing in the morning, the tub fills slowly in the car, the parking lot, or just before you walk into a building you don't want to go into. There is a moment of silence. Being honest, most of us can find 8 minutes that we waste every day scrolling through things we won't even remember by tonight. So if the time really isn't there, I'd suggest that time was never the real problem in the first place. That thing was permission. And I can help you give yourself permission right now. Unlike telling you to wait, and there is one true thing I will say about waiting. After that, I will leave it alone because I don't want to scare you into doing anything. Your mind keeps working at a fraction of what it was made for every week that goes by. That's not a threat. It's just math. As long as no one goes out to start the thaw, the field stays covered in snow. Waiting doesn't get you in trouble. That fog will stay around for a little while longer, and your homecoming will wait patiently until the week you decide you are ready. That week might be this one. It may not be, but it might be. Wait, let me slow everything down for the last part of this. What's coming next is neither information nor a sales pitch. It's what I promised you from the very beginning. Before I say anything else, I want you to notice that you read a long message while 100 other easier things were calling your name. You stayed until now. That's not a little thing. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, tell you that it is. The stubborn flame that has kept you reaching for more. Even during the years when nothing seemed to respond is what kept you going. As much as you said you agreed with the old judgment, there was a part of you that never really did. I'm very thankful that you have that flame inside you, and I think heaven is too. And I want to say it out loud right now before I send you back into your week. Now put down for a moment the heavy weight you've been carrying around in your mind. The harsh judgment you gave yourself back then. The story that you are faster and less skilled now. That you are past your prime and on the way down. You don't even have to argue with that story. You get stuck in it when you argue. You only need to put it on the ground in front of you and stop holding it for 1 minute. Just leave it on the floor. You can pick it up again later if you really want to. But in these last moments with each other, let your hands be empty like a child's hands are when they are open and ready to play. Now listen to this, because I don't think I'm the only one speaking. What I think is being said to you through me is from the one who has seen this whole long story from the beginning. When you were little, they saw the open field. They watched each room as the lights went out and grieved with you for each one, even on the days you blamed yourself in the dark. I did not bring you this far just to leave you here. The fog was never telling the truth about you. You were never really limited by how dim it was. You shouldn't feel bad about missing out on the sweet dreams you had as a child because you've grown out of them. It was a sneak peek at exactly what you were made for, saved for one rough season and kept safe in the ground under the snow. Waiting night and day for the day you could finally come and claim it as your own. The door is the same whether that day is today, the next morning, or a normal Tuesday a few weeks from now when you least expect it. Repeat after me. The door is the same door. It's not moving. It doesn't run out. Along with that, it has never been locked in all these years. You're not someone who is trying to be extraordinary. For the first time in a long time, you remember that you were already being that person. You're not behind. It's not too late. You have never been or are now the broken person in the room. Your mind was carefully put to sleep. And this week it is being gently woken up. The calling also doesn't end today. Know that this week the calling is just louder than usual. Not because the sky changed, but because after all this time, something inside you finally turned around to listen. People just like you are feeling this strange stirring right now. All over the world, in cities and quiet rooms alike. They can't find the words to explain it to anyone. You're not the only one going through this. You were never that. If you can think of a person who has been unusually quiet lately and who keeps saying sorry for being fuzzy, please send this message to them. That's one reason why you were picked, to not only get home on your own, but also to leave the door open for the next person. Also, remember what I said about how great the genius switch really is. No cheat, no trick, and no easy way to get around doing something real or earned. It's 8 minutes of sound that does for your mind what your mind used to do when you were young and had the whole field to yourself. You were made for more than the narrow life you have been bracing your way through. If you ever felt that way, even if it was just for an afternoon, this is a quiet, honest way to start the long walk back toward it. Yes, the link is there, ready for you whenever you are. There is no hurry in heaven, and there is no hurry here either. Take this in right now and let it settle all the way to the floor of you. You're now awake. The week ahead of you is not a trap that knows your name and is ready to catch you. You are slowly but surely remembering how to run in that open field the way you used to. Today can't hold the old judgment over your head because you put it down here with me and walked away from its shadow. Take these words with you and let them work in peace. The fog clears and the mind goes back to where it belongs. The person who was picked wakes up. You were made by the one who saw the lights go out in that big house one room at a time, but always knew exactly what you were made for. This week that one is reaching out and turning the lights back on starting today, starting in you. It's done. That's how it is. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.